Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Rock Squad podcast, your destination for the latest in rock music news, reviews, and discussion. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Nick Chino. I'm joined by my co-host and bandmate. It's Dave Marini. What's up, Dave?
Hey, Nick. Hello, everybody. Before we get going today, drop down to the bottom of this video, subscribe to our channel, like this video, comment on this video. If you've got something to say, we want to hear it. You can follow me at Red Coast Records across the board, every platform. Nick, my friend, how have you been? It's been a while.
I've been doing okay. You can follow me at The Walking Nick. And Dave, I don't know if this ruins my rock and roll credentials, but I cut my hair.
It's short, but I like it. You look handsome.
Thank you. First time in almost 2 years, cut my hair. So
chopped it off, bro.
As much as I liked having the long locks and it was good for headbanging, the hair was getting in my mouth all the time. We're getting ready to start playing together again, and I need to be able to sing and be able to do things without choking on my own hair.
Yeah, long hair is a pain in the ass, man. My hair's all dippied up right now, so I totally get what you're saying. We did a recording of us doing one of our songs outside near a fire a couple weekends ago, and I completely inhaled like 3/4 of my hair, so I totally know what you're talking about. But yeah, you look very handsome. You're a handsome boy, and I like it all chopped off. I like it long. I like it short. You look good either way, pal.
Yeah, we're both chameleons in that way. We can go long, we can go short. We got to be able to go back and forth. So it's nice. It's nice to have a change. But enough about my hair. This week there was an important anniversary. I put this on our Instagram yesterday at Rock Squad Pod, and that is the anniversary of the release of Oasis's single "You Know What I Mean," which came out in 1997. And I put a little bit of a story on our Instagram about how this song in particular was such a big influence on me as a music fan and a rock and roll fan and an Oasis fan. It just blew my mind and really made me a music fan. And I think it set me on the path of being a musician and a songwriter and a music lover that I am now. So, it was a little bit sentimental, but I felt the need to shout it out on our Instagram yesterday. This is a classic song. And the funny thing is, Dave, I don't know if you know this, but you know what I mean, is that it's the same chords as Wonderwall. So
I think I did know that, but that's funny.
Yeah, it's the exact same song pretty much. A couple of different chord changes here and there, but otherwise it's exactly the same. So happy anniversary to You Know What I Mean.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That whole era of Oasis and stuff. They were such a huge part of me too, like just growing into liking music, and it's so crazy that these albums are hitting those pinnacles right now. So that's awesome. Congratulations.
Do you know what I mean? I remember I went to go pick it up at the HMV in Limeridge Mall. The memories, Dave. The memories.
Right. Record stores.
I know. They were awesome. They still exist, but it was. I don't think you can find a CD single in there anymore. No. Another thing that happened today that was kind of a surprise was Don Broco, one of our favorite bands. They're up here on the wall. One of our favorite bands released a new single called Gum Shield. It's the second single from their new album, Amazing Things, which comes out on September the 17th. It was funny the way they rolled this thing out because they set up, I guess, a fake fight boxing match between the lead singer of Don Broco, Rob Damiani, and another English fighter that they were going to get together and have this epic boxing match online. And then it just resulted in the release of a new music video. But the song's really cool. You said you were digging it.
Yeah, man, I got worked completely. I was like a wrestling fan on it. I thought that Rob was going to get in a real fight. I was like, maybe he's spreading his wings, dipping his toe into some other revenue.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
And I definitely thought there would be music attached to it somehow, whether it be like a video or a thing. But I loved it, man. I sent you a message a little bit before it started to see. I'm like, you watching this? He's like, what's going to happen? They're going to knock the mullet right off this guy right now. And it was fun, and the video that they came up with and the whole campaign to put out this new song, super cool, super original, and it turns into a wrestling match, so I was fine with it 100%. And the song is super heavy, it's super melodic, and you can't go wrong with Don Broco, man. They just keep getting better and better. It's in the same vein as like the last couple singles too, but it definitely has more of like the traditional Don Broco vibe, but very heavy.
Yeah, for sure. There's something different about the chorus too, which is really which is really neat. And yeah, all their music videos are really cool. They always go above and beyond when it comes to the concepts for their music videos. And this one is no exception. And there's a little cameo from the Beckham Prime character that they had in the previous music video. So I always enjoy the thematic elements that run throughout their different videos. And I'm super excited for the new record. It's definitely up on my list of the most anticipated records of 2021. So I'm looking forward to some new Don Broco. They blow me away every time. We're relatively new fans for them, a couple of years, but they've definitely shot up to the top of our list of our favorite bands working today.
For sure, man. Yeah, we talk about that all the time.
100%. Yeah, for sure. Loving the Don Broco. So before we get to our headliner topic and opening acts topics, Dave, did you hear about this? This one I thought was really funny. Is that a mom in New Zealand has named her 3 kids Metallica, Slayer, and Pantera. This is actually a true story, and I'm sure something you can relate to. You're a dad, you have kids. A New Zealand mom, she named her kids Metallica, Slayer, and Pantera. There's this documentary filmmaker named David Ferrier, and I guess he did some digging online. He made a discovery on the internet with the registrar of names in New Zealand, and he did find out that it was true, and that this mom named her kids after her 3 favorite metal bands. So what do you think about this? And, you have 2 kids, but what would you, if you're going to rename your kids, or if you're going to have 3 more kids, what would you name your kids? Like, which bands would you pick to name your kids after?
Well, first of all, let's just get to the point that they have no other career path than stripper. All of these,
or metal musician.
Like Slayer, you're naming your daughter Slayer.
Slayer, you come down to dinner. Well, they're from New Zealand, so like Slayer, you come down to dinner. That's horrible. I'm sorry for that bad accent.
Gentlemen, welcome to the club, Slayer. Welcome to the stage, Slayer.
Yeah,
with her sister Metallica.
Would you play with Metallica? Would you take them out with you tonight to the movies?
Yeah, this is a prime example of what's wrong with the world. I think, people just go too far and too idolizing false gods. Come on, what are you doing? What are we doing here?
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel for these girls because I'm sure that the craziness in their life didn't stop with their name.
Yeah, for sure. There's probably a lot of other issues going on. But don't you feel like you missed the boat? Like, you have 2 kids and you just gave them normal names. Like, why would you, why wouldn't you name them something fun? Like, I was thinking if I was going to have kids, I would name them Oasis, of course, right? Sure. Because they have to be named, like Oasis. That's a great name. And then Weezer, I think, would be another good name, because that was a nickname for Rivers Cuomo when he was a kid. Sure. And then another good name for a kid would be Biffy.
Biffy,
little Biffy.
But I would think of Biff from Back to the Future.
Yeah, Biff. But
Biffy. Is that a good thing?
Maybe. But then you think of this. You just think of your favorite Scottish rock band instead.
Sure.
Biffy.
Sure. Don's.
Broco. I don't know.
No, that's hot right now.
Yeah. Or if I was gonna, I would have kids named Liam and Noel, or Paul and George, or George and John, or John and Paul. How about McCartney? That's a good name for a child if you want to ruin his life.
My uncle was really into cars, and if he had a daughter, he wanted to name her Porsche.
Yeah.
Jaguar.
I don't know. Jaguar. Not Jaguar, but like the way they say it in England, like Jaguar.
Are there any good car names? Like any good car companies that would make good names? Mercedes is a name, I guess.
Mercedes, yeah, that's a horrible name.
Not a lot of Fords walking
Mercedes,
around.
yeah, it doesn't really work.
Not a lot of Chevys.
Chrysler, I don't know. Dodge would be okay.
Dodge.
Hey, Dodge. How you doing, Dodge?
Dodge is all right. I kind of like Dodge. Dodge sounds like a secondary character in like a British, who's the guy that did Snatch?
Like a Guy Ritchie movie?
Yeah, Guy Ritchie movie.
Yeah.
Oh, we got Dodge in the car. He's our driver.
Yeah. Didn't Brad Pitt play Dodge?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? This is horrible. I feel bad for the kids. The bands are great, but I feel bad for the kids being named after after these bands, and hopefully maybe they're just, if you want to go middle name, that's fine.
Yeah.
You don't have to go full on first name.
I don't know, man. I think that this was a bad idea all around. I think somebody's got to tell this woman that this was a bad idea. I wonder what I haven't read anything about it, so like I wonder what like the online community is.
I'm sure there's quite a bit of outrage about it on Twitter.
But I bet you it's positive in the band's world,
right?
Then, like negative.
Free promotion either way, right?
That's fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. These guys are getting free promotion. All right.
Hey, you know what's a good name for a baby? You know what two good names are? Dave and Nick.
Yeah.
Dave and Nick.
Nice normal names.
Just saying, you want to name your kid.
Gentlemanly names.
Dave and Nick.
Yeah. There you go. All right, let's get to our show. We're going to get to our headliner topic coming up in just a couple of minutes on tonight's Rock Squad podcast, and that is Rush getting back together. Of course they're not, but we're going to be talking about that coming up on just a little bit. But first, let's get to our opening act topics, and the first one is that Biffy Clyro. We were just talking about little Biffy, naming our kids after Biffy. Biffy Clyro have released their Holier Than Thou Metallica cover from the upcoming Black Album 30th anniversary release called The Blacklist, which is going to feature 50 plus artists doing their renditions of Metallica songs from the Black Album. Is going to be coming out on September the 10th. And Dave, I don't know if you heard this thing, but I thought it was really cool. Like, I love Metallica. I love the Black Album, but as a Biffy fan, I really enjoyed this rendition that they did. They did their own different version of it, which is the way that they do covers. They've done lots of covers in the past, and they always put their own Biffy spin on it. What did you think of this Holier Than Thou cover?
Oh, it was awesome. I thought it was super cool, and it is different. Like you're saying, it's not what you would like. I could see a lot of like true Metallica people being like, I'm not into it. But I'm not that person. I'm into all sorts of things. So like, I thought it was really cool. I thought it definitely is a different take on the song. And they've definitely used some creative flexibility and freedoms to do stuff. And I think it turned out really cool. And I definitely think it may be one of those songs in the list that is going to stand out for people, because it isn't just, we play Metallica songs. Mm-hmm. It's something, they definitely put their Biffy spin on it, as you said.
Yeah, for sure. And there's going to be, with 53 artists on this thing, there's going to be different artists doing the same song. Like, I think Pup is doing Holier Than Thou as well, as a couple of other bands on the Blacklist. So it's going to be interesting to see how each band takes the same song and interprets it in their own way. For me, for the Black Album, I'm not as familiar as, I know Holier Than Thou, but it's not as ingrained in my consciousness as Enter Sandman or Sad But True or anything, or The Unforgiven,
which is probably better.
Yeah, so it's a little bit fresher for me when I hear Biffy do it. But yeah, like you're saying, Biffy does their own thing with every cover that they've done. It's a long time ago, and you can look it up on YouTube, but they did a cover of Buddy Holly by Weezer. And it's pretty much unrecognizable, which I usually don't really enjoy with covers. I don't like it when bands take covers and then completely do it so it's not the same song at all. But they did do it with Weezer. They did a really good cover of David Bowie, Modern Love, a couple of years ago for a David Bowie tribute album that came out, and that was super cool. It was really heavy, but maintained the spirit and the melody of the original song. So I'm psyched for this, and I'm really excited for the rest of the stuff on the Blacklist as well, because we got Weezer on there, Pup, like we were saying, Miley Cyrus is going to be on there, so it's pretty exciting.
That's amazing. Yeah, I'm totally stoked, man. I can't wait to hear the rest of everybody's versions of the songs that are coming out, and I love that they have different options for different songs, and everybody has their own little take. It'll be interesting to hear what everybody's view of the same thing is. Yeah,
one song and then different interpretations. So that's going to be really cool. Yeah, amazing. So we're looking forward to the Metallica Blacklist. That's coming out on September the 10th, along with a 30th anniversary remaster of the original record. So that's going to be super cool. I will most likely just kind of pick and choose some of the songs from the Blacklist to check out. It's definitely I'm not sure if it's going to be on Spotify. I imagine that it will be. I know a lot of the proceeds from the sale of the Blacklist are going to charity, but I'm looking forward to just kind of checking it out in general.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
Right on. Let's get to our next opening act topic on this week's podcast, and that is McCartney Paul McCartney, Macca, and Rick Rubin are teaming up for a new documentary series that's going to be called McCartney 321, that is going to explore the musical career of the Beatles and Wings and solo legend. It's going to be a new 6-part series that's going to be on Hulu, and then I imagine it's going to be on Disney Plus Star here in Canada. It's going to basically just be, from what I see in the trailer, is Paul McCartney and Rick Rubin sitting around a mixing desk in the middle of Abbey Road, from what it looks like, reminiscing about classic Beatles songs, sitting there with the mixing board, putting on, classic Beatles songs. Like, they were listening to John songs, they were listening to some Paul songs, George songs, and bringing them up on the desk. And Paul just reminiscing about how they recorded the songs, what was going on in their lives. He talks about his relationship with John Lennon. And, for me, Dave, like, I'm such a huge Beatles fan, and I've dug so much into whether it be the Beatles anthology or interviews on YouTube, that I feel like I've heard pretty much every Beatles story that there is that Paul can tell, because he's told so many of them over the years, and he's told a lot of the same stories over the years. But my hope is, with this new documentary series, that there might be some things in there that we haven't heard before.
Yeah, definitely. What a cool thing, Rick Rubin is definitely, we hold in such high regard. So yeah, as a producer and just musical mind, really. And if you've ever watched anything with the bands involved with Rick Rubin, they talk about how he references the Beatles all the time for rock songs and arrangements, and like how things are supposed to go, in pop music or rock music. So I think listening to him interview Paul McCartney about things will shed light on things that maybe other interviewers would never have touched upon. So to me, like you, yeah, I've heard a million stories about a million other songs. So I'm hoping that maybe it's the angle of the question that opens up some new stuff. And I think Rick Rubin's definitely the person to be asking those questions.
And it's been a really solid year so far, and it's going to continue to be a solid year for musical documentaries. We had the Dave Grohl documentary, What Drives Us. We had there's this Rockfield documentary about the studio in England. It was that Summer Soul documentary that was on Disney Plus Star. You checked that out, didn't you?
Summer Soul documentary by Questlove is amazing. It's so good. It's about this cultural festival in Harlem, the same summer of Woodstock '69. Footage was lost for 50 years.
Yeah.
And they found it. They restored it. It looks amazing. It sounds amazing. Nina Simone, B.B. King, nice. It's Stevie Wonder. It's just unbelievable. The fact that, white media made it Woodstock, the Summer of Love, instead of focusing on this amazing, or even showing any sort of coverage of this festival, is shameful. But now Questlove has been, cited to put it out, and he directed it and cut it together. And I think it's a wonderful representation of that time in America, in New York, and definitely an amazing showcase of music from that time that you don't normally get to see. So I highly recommend that. Sorry, yeah, we can go on.
No, I haven't checked it out yet, but I saw that you watched it, and I definitely have it on my watch list, because both of us are big R&B and soul fans and blues fans. We love that stuff so much. We've played music that's been heavily influenced and still is heavily influenced by a lot of that stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. And then later on this year, we have the Beatles Get Back documentary, which we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, is getting expanded into a 3-night 6-hour documentary series. So yeah, just eating all of this stuff up. And you know what? We might as well just transition into our next topic, which is talking about another rock documentary that's coming out very soon. And that's a Woodstock 99 documentary that's going to be coming out on HBO. It's called Woodstock 99, Peace, Love, and Rage. It's going to follow basically this, it wasn't the sequel, it was like the threequel to Woodstock, because there was Woodstock 94 as well. But we all know the story of Woodstock 99, Dave, that it ended in an orgy of flames and destruction, and Limp Bizkit stoking those flames with their devil music. And some people were saying that was the day the 90s died, in a similar vein to how when people talk about Altamont in 1969 and how that was the end of the 60s. But they're going to interview artists who were playing at the festival. It's going to air on HBO on July 23rd. Do you remember like Woodstock? We weren't there, obviously, but I do remember. I feel like Woodstock 99 was broadcast on Much Music, or a lot of it was broadcast on Much Music, and that we did see that footage of them burning the place down on TV, whether it be live or soon after that.
Yeah, I actually, with a dear friend of ours, Angelo Sino, we actually rented the box from the cable company, and it was
Nice.
like it was on pay-per-view.
It was,
So
yeah. Okay, yeah.
yeah, myself and Ange and his sister paid the $60 or $90 for like the 3 days of broadcast. And it was awesome. We went to their house, we set it up downstairs, and we spent like the weekend indoors.
Got mud all over yourselves.
Like we went swimming, we came and checked out a band, and we went, so yeah, I definitely remember
That's fun.
yeah, it was, we were in high school. I think we were in high school,
Yeah,
grade
yeah.
9 or 10. It was like early high school. Yeah, it was a great time. I know a few people that actually went to that Woodstock that were musicians and stuff. And one of them, I remember when they got back, they told me that they had seen a guy die, they had seen a person set on fire, they had seen a woman get raped, and they had seen a baby be born.
Oh,
all in the 3 days.
Circle of life.
I was like, Jesus, man, that's one that was all with the price of admission.
Right? Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely get why they're making a documentary about this.
Didn't it all take place basically on like at an airplane hangar? So it was basically on this big concrete tarmac. And that they were isolated, and there wasn't hardly any water and hardly any provisions, and it was just a big shit show in general.
Yeah, it was like $4. It was like $4 or $5 American for bottled water.
Yeah,
and they had completely sold out by like halfway through day one.
That's crazy.
I think, funny enough, I think that happened at the first Woodstock too. So it was fucking like it's so many years later, and they're still having the same fucking issue.
Well, it's funny because everybody has these rose-colored glasses about Woodstock back in the day, being this hippie festival of peace and love. But the reality was people were covered in their own feces.
Sure.
And we're just dirty for days and days and days, and just tripping balls on drugs, while bands played that they could hardly hear.
Yeah. Over there, there's a band like a quarter mile that way. Over the shit and the dead hippies.
Yeah, exactly.
Go check it out.
And then
Amazon.
And then the same year you have Altamont, which is the big festival that the Rolling Stones played, that people died because the Hells Angels were there, security. So that's messed up.
Yeah.
And so maybe it is. Yeah, it's poetic that Woodstock 99 would end up being, I don't know why they say that every decade has to end in flames. Like, can we not transition from one decade to another without people burning stuff down? Is that just how it goes? Like the 60s are done, burn it down. The 90s are done, burn it down. I don't get it.
I know that we go out in flames, man. It's so much passion. It's all contained.
Is that how
ignites one day?
Is that how the world's going to end? Is that it's flames with Limp Bizkit singing break stuff? Is that the apocalypse that's been promised to us?
Yeah, like what's on the head when the president of the United States goes to hit that big doomsday button?
Yeah.
What's in his headphones? Like you got to have something blaring where you're like, I'm going to die. I got the key in.
Yeah.
Like what's in the headphones there? It's not John Denver. That's for sure.
No, for sure. It's definitely break stuff. Nookie, maybe rearranged.
Let the bodies hit the floor.
The bodies.
Let the bodies hit the floor.
Well, Dave, you're making a perfect transition into our final opening act topic because, once the end of the world happens, right, and the Doomsday button has been activated, and Limp Bizkit and Fred Durst is up there being like, "All right, everybody, we're all gonna die." When that happens. Don't worry about the music because the music will be preserved in a Norwegian music Doomsday vault. And I'm not making this up. Thank God, Dave. We have a contingency plan for all this destruction. But a company in Norway is creating the global music vault that's going to be using a special format to store music. Pretty much, it's going to last over 1,000 years, buried deep underground in cool, dry conditions. This vault will include music from all over the world, all genres, all eras. And it's actually very similar to something they've already done called the Global Seed Vault, which is doing the same thing with seeds. So should the world come to an end, Limp Bizkit style, We will be able to rebuild with the seeds and the music of the past to last for all time so that we can still survive and we can still thrive. So Dave, what are you thinking about this? What bands are you putting in the Doomsday Vault?
Oh, fuck. Of all time,
I guess the Beatles would go in there.
Yeah, like you'd have to do like, the best of the. I think we would be okay if you did like if we did like maybe the top 20 bands of every genre of every era, like top 20 of the 60s or the 50s, the 40s, the 30s, all the way through.
Yeah.
And when we got to the 60s, we started doing American and British. I think we would be okay.
Yeah, but there's other world music that we need to think about as well.
Is there?
Yeah, you need to be a representative of everything, Dave.
Sure. So what are we getting in there? What are we getting? We got to have like representations of every culture now.
Classical music. We have to have international.
How
music.
Big is this? Is this a hard drive that's just being?
I think it's like some sort of weird film or like microfiche or some sort of coded film.
Sounds like an NFT.
What if it's just like an iPod? You go, okay, so 1,000 years from now, right? They send this team and they're like, you have to go retrieve the music vault so we can rebuild society. And they get there, right? They're like, smoke everywhere. This huge metal vault. They go to open it up and it's just an iPod sitting on a on a little pedestal.
Not even charged.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Who's got an adapter?
Oh my God. It's like, oh my God, those adapters haven't been available for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
We don't even have wall plugs that they can use anymore.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Well, we're making fun of the end of humanity here, Dave. I don't know if you feel happy about that, but I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do, brother. I don't know who I would throw in there. Like, there's so much music and all that stuff, and world music. Yeah, sure. Yeah, throw us in there, and have something good to rebuild on at least. But like I don't know, and who's making the decision? Like who's like, like Madonna.
Well, no, I heard that companies will be able to pay to get in on this. So if you're a record label or whatever, your Universal Music, you can pay a fee to have your artist placed in the vault.
It's a Super Bowl halftime scheme.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotcha.
It's another money making scheme. Everything's got to be monetized. Everything's got to have some value to it, man.
Welcome to the Tonight Show. It'll cost you $30,000.
If you want your music to survive, like imagine getting a music meeting. They're like, listen, I'm just saying, you want this music to survive, don't you? Wouldn't it be a shame if this was lost to the ages? Everybody would be devastated.
Isn't this your life's work? You just want to push it aside.
Well, I read that the labels actually do all have different vaults around the world where they store their music in digital form. Sure. So I guess we're okay. But, if the end of the world does happen, along with there'll be seeds and there'll be music. So
you know what's interesting that we're talking about this too is I just saw somebody talking about Jim Carrey. And Jim Carrey was, how he's a painter now, like he paints all the time.
Yeah.
Like a comedian. And somebody asked him at a party, they were like, "Oh, what are you up to?" And he was like, "Oh, I've been painting a lot. I've been selling works of art off. It's my new thing. Like I transferred my art energy into painting." And somebody was like, "But why? Like you're like this super famous comedic actor and stand-up, and like why are you so like why would you change the painting?" And he said that he realized that no one now knows the people that inspired him when he got into comedy. So within 50 years, no one will give a fuck about Jim Carrey and his acting. So he realized that. So he feels that having the physical present painting and making paintings now is a better way to be remembered forever.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So little vaults.
Well, art does have that type of longevity,
right? Like it's an interesting way to know somebody's at that level and think like, fuck, what I did is great, but it ain't forever. And to know that is pretty, kind of ahead of itself,
Yeah. Jim Carrey's a genius. I watched that. There was a documentary, not to get too off topic, but there was a documentary on Netflix about him when he was making Man on the Moon, and he was portraying Andy Kaufman.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's either, he's either a genius or he's an idiot, but I lean more onto, I love Jim Carrey, so I lean more towards the genius side of things.
Sure, 100%, man. Yeah, that was an amazing documentary too. And I really like that movie. And, the fact that he goes into the character, man, like and listen, I'm not saying it's not going to crumple some feathers and ruffle some feathers, but it's going to happen. Like when you're that involved and you want to sell something that much, that's what you have to do. And the people that don't understand it are the people that aren't Jim Carrey. So
exactly. And he's at that point in his career, he's made so much money that he can just pursue his own interests.
Yeah, man, I think it's awesome. Like I think about that too, because I've always been into art and I've always been into other things. And I think that I look at everything I do artistically as like that kind of like, well, this is my mark, I have kids, I own some property, and then here's my artistic impression of onto the world, right?
Yeah.
And but like realistically, like other than my family and my friends that will all eventually be gone, like what happens? What happens to it 60 years down? Like, people love Whitney and Bobby, but where are they 60 years from now?
They will always love Whitney and Bobby. Always. Oh. Yeah. Well, you think about, even with a band like the Beatles, think about, well, what's their longevity? It's already been 60 years. So I don't know.
Yeah. Sure. And it could be, it could be another 100, 160 years. They're like, they talk about them like we talk about Beethoven, and we talk about, and there are those people, there are those instrumental forces that come in that are artistic brilliance that we've never seen the likes of, that change the society and how people think things should be. That definitely happens, but that's only like less than 0.001% of the people doing that thing, like that's why a lot of art, like so many artists die poor, and then they have these priceless paintings,
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, it's all going in the vault.
Yeah, put it in the vault. Jim Carrey's pictures, Ace Ventura, Dumb and Dumber, and all of those in the vault.
Yeah, for sure. The Cable Guy, it's all got to be in there.
Vault it.
It's in the vault. The Disney has a vault, so everybody else can have a vault too.
Does Disney still have a vault?
No.
Isn't everything streaming?
Everything's streaming. They don't have the vault anymore, unfortunately.
They should have done the vault thing a little bit to like pull in more people.
Yeah.
Right? Because then every month it could be like Disney's releasing, like they could build up Little Mermaid again, like in 4K high definition, out of the vaults,
But that's the thing. Everything's out of the vault now. That you got to get that monthly subscription, right? So
they blew it.
Sorry, Disney. All right, let's get to our headliner topic for this week's Rock Squad podcast. Dave, this is I was like, should this be the headliner? But it should be the headliner because this is going to lead to a larger conversation. That is, guess what, Dave? Shocking news. Rush is not getting back together. Can you believe it? Are you shocked? Are you as devastated as I am that Rush is not getting back together?
I don't think Rush should get back together. I think without Neil Peart, nothing should happen. That's what I think.
Exactly. Well, Rush guitarist Alex Lifeson agrees with you, and he shut down any possibility of a reunion of the famous Canadian rock trio. We're from Canada. We live and breathe Rush here in Canada. But he praised the band's fans and their passion for the band and for everything that they've done. But as we all know, Neil Peart, the drummer and lyricist of Rush, passed away in early 2020. So a reunion is obviously out of the question, and it kind of bugs me. I wonder why this is really news. I know we're making it news. We're talking about it here on the podcast, but to me, it's a no-brainer that Rush wouldn't get back together without Neil Peart, because it depends on what the band is, right? When you think about different bands, the way that different bands operate and which bands have which members, you think about Rush. Rush was very much those three guys. They were a unit. It was Geddy, it was Alex, and it was Neil. And those guys, I know they had a drummer originally too, but it was those three guys that created Rush. So when one of those pieces leaves or one of those pieces dies, it absolutely makes sense that they wouldn't get back together. You think about Pink Floyd with Richard Wright, you think about Led Zeppelin with John Bonham, you think about so many bands that have those key members and those units. The Beatles, it was those four guys, and not every band is like that. Some bands, they have multiple members die and leave over the course of over many years, and they replace them, and it's not a big deal. But for Rush, it was those three guys. So I find the conversation that even fans would even contemplate Rush getting back together, I find that to be completely laughable.
Yeah, not to mention he's the primary lyric writer for the band. So yeah, that's a tough one. Like you can't like, first of all, who in God's green earth is going to play like Neil Peart?
Yeah.
First off, like there's only a handful of guys that are at that level that that would fit that mold. Not that there's not any.
Taylor Hawkins.
But and then you throw in the fact that the songs are his soul.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. And I think there's probably plenty of Rush recordings sitting around somewhere, sitting on tape in a warehouse somewhere on some storage file that they'll have plenty of stuff to put out and work on as Rush without Neil Peart, without having to have new music. Like, what's the expectation here? You know what I mean? Like, so I think they'll be plenty fulfilled in their Rush legacy with the side little Rush things that come up every an anniversary or a reissue, and these B-sides from this. I'm sure there's tons of stuff. There's probably stuff that's ready to go that we don't even know about that they're going to put out. Mm-hmm. So I'm not shocked about it at all. I think that band is a three-piece forever, and you can't just this isn't Blink 182, folks. Right. This is Rush.
Yeah.
And I think that's how it should be handled. And I think those guys probably agree with us.
And they have a legacy in place, right? Yeah. They have a great musical legacy of great records. They toured their asses off. They really did everything they could do after the so many years as a band. So I think there's always this reluctance among classic rock fans to let bands go and to retire. Yeah. You have a band like the Rolling Stones, which for some reason, and I'm totally glad they're still around, but for some reason they're still going. I know they're not active as as they used to be, but they're still a band. All the members are still alive. For the Rolling Stones, are still boggles my mind that these bands that they're still going strong, and that's good for them. But not every band is built like that. You think about the Beatles. Yeah. The Beatles broke up 50 years ago, right? So, and they've continued on as a brand, even though the band may not exist, the brand continues. So, yeah, like you're saying, even though Rush isn't an active band that you're going to be able to go pay tickets to go see live, the Rush reissue train will continue. They'll go into their own vaults to find more material that they can reissue and repurpose over the next few years. So in that case, Rush still exists. But it's weird because that, I guess, happens to every band, especially when you have these bands that are legends like Rush, is that they transition. So they're no longer an active band, but they're still Rush. They still have an Instagram account and a Facebook account and a Twitter account that stay active to keep Rush alive. You know what I mean? It's very strange, especially in modern times, that when a band breaks up or members leave or they no longer exist, like they're done, like there's nothing else to say. But that's not how it works anymore. Is that if a band no longer exists as an actual thing, it still exists as a brand and a business that continues on. Yeah,
man. When you're a legacy band like that, like it's not just you know what I mean? Like there's you've got your 4 or 5 managers and agents and stuff and publicists. And then you got everybody else that works for you. So keeping that money source coming in and keeping publishing going and keeping interest in the band and just the branding itself to make that happen is as big, if not bigger, than the band itself. Like you look at the music and the merchandise sold to the Beatles since the Beatles broke up.
Right.
You can't even, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a totally different angle of it. Like there doesn't necessarily need to be new music if you keep the brand pushed the right way.
And well, but that goes back to the conversation that we were just having about the vault and, you know, how long the shelf life of these bands have. Like, how long do these bands have a legacy until people start to forget about them? Is that possible now if you have a band like the Beatles or Pink Floyd or Led Zeppelin that's being constantly repurposed for a new generation? For Spotify, you know, you have all the Beatles albums being remastered for new audiences, for Spotify streams, and they're still getting billions of streams. Nirvana, we were talking about it last week on the show, got 1 billion streams on Spotify for a song that's 30 years old. Kurt Cobain died 27 years ago. You know what I mean? It's absolutely insane, but these things continue on. And so as time goes on, do we just continue to keep that train going? Or is there a time when you go on the Beatles Instagram account and they're like, listen, guys, it was good. We were able to keep this thing for 60 years. Yeah, we were able to keep this thing going for 60, 70 years, but there's a point where we just have to say, we're done. You know, there's no more remasters of Sgt. Pepper that we can put out, you know?
The truth is we don't know how long it can go for, because this era of the history of the planet, this is new. Like, it's so, like, you know what I mean? Sure, there have been bands that have come and gone, but like real staples, this is the last 150 years, you know what I mean? So it really, time will tell, like how much of an impact the digital climate and stuff have on the longevity of bands that size. Even, like, you know, like how long, like we distribute music and stuff, and how long do our distributors keep distributing music, or keep paying for the servers that hold the music that's been distributed? Like, when does that, you know, when does CD maybe go away? When does all that start to fall apart?
Yeah.
You know, like at what time, you know? So I don't know. The answer is there is no real answer yet. Like, we're still in this era of music, and taking information and saving it is still in full effect. So time will tell, but I definitely think it'll be longer than it was. But it's also, you know, we're cursed with the over communication and the over stimulation of so much product, so much music, that things that are great are getting lost in the shuffle already. So it's just a matter of time, I think. You know, it might be 80, might be 100, but 150 years, I don't think anybody cares about the Beatles anymore.
Yeah. There'll be new stuff to care about. People will be like, Billie Eilish, she was the greatest.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Rush, it's not a surprise that they're not going to be getting back together. They can't do it without Neil Peart. They shouldn't do it without Neil Peart.
No.
It makes absolutely no sense for them to do that. And I think it's absolutely unrealistic for fans to have an expectation. Fine, if Geddy and Alex want to get together and do something else, it's called something else. That's not Rush. Go for it. But yeah, it's okay to let them go. And I think they probably feel like that too, that they've really done their bit and they're proud of what they've done. And that they're able to move on to different things. They have families, they have lives, and that they should just keep going with that. They don't need to keep going back to Rush.
Yeah, the side projects and the little, like, you know, they can do a page and plant thing. It's all right, like, for sure. And you know, and they'll probably, this is the thing, they'll probably do a page and plant thing with like a Mike Portnoy playing drums or something.
Yeah.
And it'll be amazing. And they'll throw some Rush songs in. That's what's going to happen. Like, let's be realistic. But like them touring and writing and releasing music as Rush, I think they should just put it to rest. And, you know, they can still live and sell tickets off of that success. And I think they should just do their own thing. Like the Page and Plant with a great drummer, throw in some Rush songs to keep all the fans happy at the show, and to pay tribute to one of the greatest bands of all time that they happen to be a part of.
Yeah, agreed, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's our headliner topic for this week's podcast. Let us know what you guys thought of all the different topics that we talked about this week on the podcast. Let us know in the comments here on YouTube, or if you're listening on the podcast, we'd appreciate a review on Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts, wherever you're listening or watching. But before we get out of here, we got to do our tracks of the week. Dave, I'll go first. Well, we already talked about it. It's Oasis for me. Do you know what I mean? Is my track of the week, because I just love this song so much. It's psychedelic, 7+ minutes. The greatest thing about Do You Know What I Mean is that it's like 3 minutes before the song even kicks in. for the first 2.5 minutes, it's just beeps and boops and feedback and all this noise that is completely unnecessary, but I love it. It's indulgent. So much cocaine was taken on this thing, and it's all the better for it. So that is my track of the week. What do you got?
I've been jumping into the 90s a little bit and revisiting some of my favorite rock bands. And I've been in a big Silverchair kick for the last couple days. I've been throwing them on.
Silverchair.
I'm going to do off of Freak Show, off that album. I'm going to do The Closing off of Freak Show.
Welcome to the closing.
Those albums are great. All four of those albums are really good. So,
you know what I was playing the other day?
What were you playing?
Need to ask a question, calling out my name. No one seems to like you. Wish I couldn't too. Come on, abuse me more. I like it. Sorry, I don't think YouTube will get us for that, but. See, we're always on the same wavelength. We're both listening to Silverchair. That's a great record, though. Freak Show. The Door is a great song from that record. Abuse Me, obviously. Cemetery. Yeah.
Great record.
Yeah, man.
Great, underrated for their time, for sure.
Yeah, and I know our drummer, Adam Cannon, he's a big Silverchair fan. He loves them. Yeah. And they worked with Dave Bottrell, who we know, like the producer. He did quite a few things with Silverchair, which is cool.
Yeah, their fourth record, I think he did. The one after Neon Ballroom.
Diorama.
No, Diorama, yeah. Great record, too. That's the thing, like, they never went away, and their records got progressively good. Like, you know, it's hard to find a bad track on any of those records.
Yeah, that's a reunion I'd like to see.
The vibe changes. I've seen them a few times live, and the last time was for that the modern one, modern or whatever. And you know, it was awesome. I remember standing there, and I'm like, you know, I've watched these guys since they were 15 years old, and now they're like, you know, they're in their mid 30s, and they crush just as hard as they did when they were. It's awesome. It's awesome, and they're worth going to see. They're a great live band too. So you know, if you don't know, this is a fun fact. Ben from Silverchair still works in the record shop in Australia that he worked in when he was like first in the band. Yeah,
well, why not? These guys probably doing okay from Silverchair money, and might as well enjoy yourself and work in a record store.
Love it. Imagine that you're like, oh, I'm buying a Silverchair. Like, aren't you Ben?
Yeah.
Of course I am, mate. You know.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, for sure. All right, well, that's a good pick. Silverchair. I remember seeing them at Edgefest '99. They played that, and then I saw them with Blink at Maple Leaf Gardens.
Oh, that's cool.
In 1999 as well, the fall of '99. So that was cool. I think that was the only time I ever saw them. Those two.
Yeah, times. I saw the one, the Edgefest one you mentioned.
We were there.
I saw it there, and then the more recently was in Chicago. I saw them.
Yeah. We went to Edgefest '99. Nobody burned anything down. It rained all day. That's what I remember about Edgefest '99, because that was my first festival. And I remember you and Ange, our buddy Angelo, were like kind of like pros. You guys had been a couple of years before that. And me and Mike, our buddy Mike, we were like new to it. And that was like the first time we ever went. And it was our first festival.
Hold you from the porta potty mud? No, man, you don't want to be sliding in that.
Exactly. But those were so fun. I don't think I could do that anymore, but those were the days.
You know, the reason I enjoy going to Chicago so much is because Lollapalooza is right on Michigan Avenue.
Yeah.
Like Grant Park is right there. So when you go to that festival, your hotel, like you can see your hotel at all times when you're in the festival. So you take breaks, you go back, you have a shower, you go get some food, you explore the city. Wonderful, wonderful times in Chicago.
Yeah, it's different than Edgefest, which was at Molson Park, out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, good luck. You're in Barrie. I'll come to Barrie.
Yeah, totally. All right, well, that is our Rock Squad podcast for this week. We're going to wrap things up. You can follow me at The Walking Nick on Twitter and Instagram. And where can the folks follow you, Dave?
Red Coast Records, Instagram, Facebook, We also play in a band. I don't know if anybody knows that, but we play in a
Yeah.
band called Fools Union, foolsunion.com. You can listen to songs that we write with our dear band members. We release them. We make videos. Fools Union on Instagram, Fools Union Facebook. What a great show, man.
Yeah, it was a good one. Well, we'll see everybody again for next week's show. I'll be doing a rock album review coming up this weekend for the new Wallflowers album called Exit Wounds. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But until then, we'll see you guys next week for another episode of the Rock Squad podcast. Rock on, Dave.
Rock on, Nick.